From the Ohio AgNet Voice You Know with the News You Trust studio, sponsored by Grain Equipment Company, where innovation meets execution. I'm Joel Norwood with your farm news here on Friday. USDA had a big report day today, covering major updates for corn and soybean production, grain stocks, and winter wheat acres, all critical for Ohio farmers. Let's jump into those. Some key numbers. U.S. corn production cut by 275 million bushels, with yields now at 179.3 bushels per acre, down 3.8 bushels from earlier estimates. Soybean production dropped 95 million bushels. Yields reduced by a whole bushel to 50.7 bushels per acre, and those downward revisions larger than expected by traders ahead of the report, providing a bullish signal to markets. Following the report's release, corn prices up close to a dime. Soybeans jumped 24 cents, while wheat down 2 cents. Some global news there. Brazil's soybean harvest is beginning, with production still projected at 169 million tons, but Ohio farmers should be watching for how that impacts U.S. exports. Also, China's declining soybean imports, down from 109 to potentially 102 million tons, might affect global demand. Overall, today's news points to tighter supplies that could support stronger prices, though wheat growers should note steady demand despite global competition. Doug Tenney of Lice Mercantile has the full update and in-depth analysis exclusive to Ohio AgNet online. OhioAgNet.com. Head there now. In other news, USDA says they'll begin rebuilding its bird flu vaccine stockpile to make it match the current strain of the virus running through commercial flocks and wild birds. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention tells us the outbreak started back in 2022 and has killed since then over 130 million birds, affecting commercial, backyard, and wild birds in all 50 states. Do keep in mind, we were told back on December 27th, a major outbreak over in western Ohio, affecting nearly 1 million birds. In a press release, USDA says the U.S. had built poultry vaccine stocks after the last major outbreak in 2014-2015. Bird flu also affecting U.S. dairy cattle herds and infected almost 70 people since then. Most of the exposed humans are farm workers who've been directly exposed to sick cattle or poultry. Egg and turkey farm groups have been calling for a vaccine, citing the severe economic toll it has taken on farmers after wiping out their flocks. In December, USDA reported infected dairy herds in both California and Texas, and a notable amount in California, it should be said. And speaking of California, been in the news so much the last couple of days of those devastating fires in the Los Angeles metro area. Being hit there, both urban as well as rural, by these terrible wildfires. USDA's Rod Bain reports.
Multiple wildfires raging out of control tonight.
Sounds from the devastating Southern California wildfires. As of Friday morning,
the Palisades and Eaton fires collectively have torched over 30,000 acres of land, and unfortunately, a lot of that has been heavily populated areas.
USDA meteorologist Brad Rippey says while most of the news coverage focuses on destruction within suburban parts of the Los Angeles metro area,
as you move up into the hills, it's more sparsely populated, but there are some agricultural lands there, some ranch lands. And we saw that back in December with the Franklin fire that burned through some agricultural communities. And that has happened again. The damage is extensive to farm buildings, fencing, and to animals, unfortunately. And so we are dealing with some of the agricultural consequences in the far northern suburbs of Los Angeles with these large fires.
I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
Thanks, Rod. Our prayers go out to those impacted over in California. In other news, DTN has released the latest numbers of their retail fertilizer trend tracker. Prices mixed in late December with slight changes being reported. Anhydrous averaged $734 per ton, up $15 from the previous month, but still 7% lower than the year before. Other fertilizers like potash, 1034-0, UAN 28 and 32 saw modest price increases, while DAP, MAP, and urea saw just slight decreases. When we compare that to the year before, most fertilizers remain cheaper. Potash down 13%, urea 9%, and 32 off 8%. Now only DAP and 1034-0 were up. They were 2% more expensive year over year. Don't forget, next week, 14th through the 16th, is the Fort Wayne Farm Show. will be visiting with Homan Inc. as they open the Fort Wayne Farm Show. Stop out and see them, booth 207. And it is meeting season. Don't miss your chance to attend a Seed Consultants Winter Agronomy meeting. Visit seedconsultants.com to learn more. We'll be right back after this with a look at markets.
Over the years, you've brought opioids into your home. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But holding on to opioids puts your family at risk. Learn more at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
This check of closing market numbers after Friday's trade being brought to you by Seed Consultants, simply better performance, online at seedconsultants.com. Quite the bullish day for corn and soybeans. Let's dive into those. March corn, 14.5 cents up to 4.70.5 per bushel. May corn, 4.79.5. That's a 15-cent gain, with new crop corn up 3.25 to 4.50 March soybeans, 26.25 up to 10.25 May bean contracts, 10.38 per bushel, up 27.25, and new crop beans up 17.25 to 10.31. July wheat down 0.5 cent to 5.54.5. On the livestock side, February cattle at the Merc up $1.18 to 198.78, while February hogs 82.55 per hundredweight, 78 cents higher. More farm news and markets online at ohioagnet.com. I'm Joel Norwood. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great weekend.